I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome back to the Mayor's Table. This morning I have two guests with me. I have Mike Mestas, who is the San Juan County Emergency Manager, Exercise Director, and I have Ed Smylie, who is the Farmington Emergency Manager and Assistant Exercise Director, and Ed is also Director of General Services for the City of Farmington. Gentlemen, welcome to the Mayor's Table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Good to have you here this morning, and we have an important topic to talk about. We're going to talk about the 2017 annual Homeland Security Drill. Can you speak to what the drill is?
Yeah, on Wednesday, September 13th, like you said, we host the San Juan County annual Homeland Security exercise, where we train for the proficiency of our SWAT teams, our hazmat teams, our bomb teams, and our area emergency response teams. So we test their proficiency each year with the Homeland Security equipment that's been purchased, and then that's just how we see how well they perform. Anything to add to that?
Specifically, we test the operational coordination between our agencies and organizations, and primarily we also test our communication. That's one of the things that has a tendency to fail in real life events, so that's one of the things that we like to test as well.
And we are funded by Homeland Security, so federal funding, and this is a requirement, as I understand it. It's a requirement of Homeland Security that these annual drills be conducted.
That is correct. For the citizens that don't know, the bomb team, the SWAT teams, and those big hazardous materials trucks and equipment cost a lot of money. So with the advent of 9/11, Homeland Security brought that funding to the forefront. And so part of our job at our Office of Emergency Management at San Juan County is to apply for that funding for those teams, and then working with Ed and the fire departments and the police department, we help get the funding for that part of the equipment.
Is all of that equipment and all of those materials and supplies, is that funded through these grants from Homeland Security, or is there a combination of funding for those materials and equipment?
Go ahead with that.
Yeah, it's primarily funded with Homeland Security grants, but the city and the county also participates in the funding as well.
Okay. And this is a partnership kind of effort. This drill is a drill that's participated in by all of the local law enforcement agencies and municipal governments, I suppose, as well as the county.
Yeah.
And so describe who those partners are.
So because we have these specialty teams with the SWAT teams and the bomb teams, but granted the city of Bloomfield and city of Aztec don't have these specialty teams because of manpower and because of the cost. So we scale these teams down to the city of Farmington and to the county proper. But those teams actually go mutual aid to Bloomfield and Aztec. So we can have those other departments participate in mutual aid and participate in the drill in another process. Mm-hmm. So we include everybody, including the hospital. The hospital uses this as their annual drill as well. So it goes from response to the hospital to the emergency operations center.
Eddie, how many participants will there be in this exercise?
I don't know that we have a good firm number of participants, but the city proper is going to have a number of participants, not only with our response agencies, but the City of Farmington employees as well.
Can you describe the drill itself so that people have a feel for what the process is?
Well, the scenario is that, and part of the reason we're doing this is because Enterprise, which is right across the street from us as we sit, is the sponsor of the drill this year. So the scenario is that they've asked the City of Farmington to approve a pipeline to come through Farmington and come through some culturally and environmentally sensitive areas, and the City Council is going to have to approve that process. So that morning of the 13th, we're going to have a special City Council meeting at 10 a.m. with some of our stand-in mayors and council members, and we're going to have some opposition to show up out front, and it's going to test our fire and police response to, I hesitate to use the word protest, but opposition to the process.
And Mike, do you design that drill locally, or is that a design that's handed down from the federal level?
No, we design that and all our drills annually locally. What we do is we start that planning process in January of the calendar year. We gather the controllers and the heads of each of the agencies from the police department, the fire department, my office along with Ed, and we plan and we take them through the chain of the planning each month, and we plan these certain scenarios, and then that's how we get through it. And then we bring in the hospital, the Red Cross, and those people later on, because it takes a whole team to conduct these drills. And we also we bring on an industry partner. This year, Enterprise Products is that industry partner, and then that's just because we want to continue having industry as the forefront. We want to let them know that we can protect them in case anything would happen in these areas, and we need to be proficient with their facilities as well.
I think our viewers might be interested in knowing what other drill scenarios you've had in the past. Could you describe a couple of those for us?
Sure. One of the things that we try to do out of my office is include industry every year, and we include that partnership because we want to make sure that we're being industry heavy in our area. We want to make sure that we're proficient in handling their type of emergencies. So although that we train with the SWAT and the bomb teams and the hazmat teams, we always include industry like ConocoPhillips. We did an active shooter exercise with ConocoPhillips last year. The year before, Praxair was our industry sponsor. So we did a hazardous material spill out at their facility. The year before that, Williams Field Service, and I think we did a natural gas leak, didn't we, out at that facility? Yep. So we're always training with our teams to keep them proficient, but we're also including industry and giving them a chance to play as well, because they have to be compliant in the training and exercise field as well, and we help them with their compliance during that time as well.
As you indicated earlier in our discussion, the primary purpose of the drill is to demonstrate proficiency in response to a crisis situation and to demonstrate the use of new equipment and proficiency in the use of that equipment. How are you actually graded in this exercise? What kind of an evaluation process? Ed?
Well, each individual component of the drill has what is called an evaluator, and they literally watch and grade that specific portion of the drill, whether it's a police SWAT evaluator versus a fire tech rescue evaluator. They all have a resident expert, if you will, to grade their performance.
Are the evaluators local individuals?
Well, we bring some of them in locally, like retired police commander Cliff Washburn. We bring him in to evaluate the SWAT team, knowing that he has some background in SWAT. So we have some local, and we bring some from the state. For instance, this year I'm bringing some Homeland Security officials from Santa Fe to help us evaluate the dispatch center, evaluate the technical rescue side. So what they do is they give me those evaluation notes. I put them into a after-action report. I file that after-action report with the state, who sends it on to the federal level to ensure that we're meeting the minimum qualifications for that grant funding. So anytime there's funding, there's paperwork that has to be done.
And so the evaluation done by local evaluators, some come from outside the area, and then describe for me again exactly how the evaluations are utilized. And so do you have some kind of an exit review of the drill process itself based on the evaluations, where you go over the strengths and weaknesses that have been noted by the evaluators?
That is correct, and then you can jump in when I'm done. They give us the strengths and weaknesses, what they did right, what they did wrong, but we also have a controller that says these are the areas that I want to highlight, that I want you to note. Did we perform the task or did we not? And then we perform, either we do the task, and then we put that down in an improvement plan. These are things that you didn't meet, specifications that you need to work on for the next year's drill. So in that improvement plan that's filed in that after-action report helps us with funding for the next year. Hey, we didn't do this task because we didn't have that piece of equipment. So it helps us get further needs and continues on our strengths and weaknesses of the county's exercise program.
These drills represent hypothetical crisis situations. I'd be interested, and I think our viewers would be interested in knowing about real life experiences that you've responded to. Do you have one or two that you can mention?
Well, and Ed will probably tell you, it's kind of funny because sometimes it always comes to fruition. We had a drill with Williams that we had a spill in the river, and just so happens that fall, Gold King mine spill happened.
Right.
We had an active shooter drill for ConocoPhillips one year, and then that year they had somebody, an outside person, walk into their building, and it was a stranger. They didn't know who it was, so they had to actually go to a lockdown. So little things like that.
Those are the two that come to mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you think of anything?
So we're not talking just hypothetical situations. These are training exercises that deal with potential real-life
Real-world
circumstances and situations in our community. So I think that ought to give our viewers and the citizens of our community some comfort, some level of comfort that we are in fact prepared for these kinds of situations.
That's correct.
And that we can value these training exercises that prepare the responders for those kinds of situations.
Absolutely.
Ed, I'm going to ask you to maybe close out this discussion this morning and talk a little bit about the details of the drill. What time does it begin? When does it end? That kind of thing.
Well, the drill itself is really probably going to run about 9 a.m. to noon, and we need to remind our city of Farmington, our viewers, that municipal is going to be closed that morning from about 8 to noon, just to facilitate what's going on and keep everybody safe. And it'll be actually part of the drill scenario as well if the street is closed. But part of it's just to keep people safe. In addition to that, the city facilities on this campus, City Hall, the administrative services, and HR building and PD are going to be closed to the public. So we're going to be using the opportunity to train some of our employees as well. So all of these facilities right here on this campus are going to be closed to the public.
Okay. So this is not a drill or an exercise that people can come and watch.
It's not.
If you saw people coming up and standing by and just wanting to observe and maybe learn a little something, they would be asked to leave?
The police officers will probably ask them to move along.
Okay, all right.
Just for public safety purposes.
Sure, yeah. Well, Mike, Ed, I want to thank you for being here this morning and being my guest on the Mayor's Table. Is there anything else that either of you'd like to add that maybe we haven't elicited from my questions?
The only thing I'd probably add, Mr. Mayor, and Mike and I were talking about this just before we came in, but September is Preparedness Month, so it's a great opportunity just to remind people to be prepared in their homes. Have 2 or 3 days of water and food, medications. It's just a good idea to be prepared in your home.
Yeah, just that we're lucky, that we're fortunate to live where we live in the city of Farmington, San Juan County. We pray for those people in Houston and possibly now Florida. So we're lucky where we live.
That's a good point to make. We are fortunate that we don't deal with many of the natural disasters that many others in our country have to deal with and they're exposed to on a periodic basis. It's hard to think of those kinds of big events that affect people in San Juan County, New Mexico, or the Four Corners region. So we are fortunate to live where we do. We tout that as one of the reasons that we would be a strong economic location in terms of economic activity, that industry don't have to deal with those kinds of disasters.
Absolutely.
But again, I want to thank both of you for being here. It's a very informative topic. We're happy to put it out there to those who view the Mayor's Table. We want to thank all of you for viewing this segment of the Mayor's Table. We'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday.